On the vast plains of ancient India, the Ganges River flowed serenely, nourishing the land and sustaining the lives of its people. Beneath the shade of a Bodhi tree sat Buddha, immersed in deep meditation. The tranquility of his presence blended harmoniously with the chirping of birds and the rustling leaves. One day, as Buddha meditated with his eyes closed, a young man came running toward him, his face marked with panic and despair. "Buddha, please save me," the young man exclaimed, his voice trembling with urgency. Buddha slowly opened his eyes and looked at the man with calm compassion. "What troubles you? Speak, and I shall listen," Buddha said, his voice carrying a deep serenity that seemed to ease the young man's distress. A confession of suffering. The young man took a deep breath and, with tears streaming down his face, began to speak. "My life is full of suffering. My family is plagued by illness, my business has failed, and I am drowning in debt. I can't sleep at night. Please tell me how I can escape this unbearable burden." His words were heavy with years of accumulated sorrow. Buddha placed a gentle hand on the man's shoulder and nodded understandingly. "I understand you're suffering well. Walk with me for a while," Buddha suggested. Although puzzled, the young man decided to follow Buddha. Together, they began walking along the riverbank. The teaching of the stone. After some time, Buddha stopped in front of a large stone. It was enormous, too heavy for a single person to lift. "Look at that stone," Buddha said. "Lift it." The young man stared at Buddha in astonishment. "But, Buddha, that stone is far too heavy for me to lift alone." "Just try," Buddha urged gently. "Give it your best effort." The young man hesitated, then stepped toward the stone. He braced himself, gripping the edges tightly, and summoned all his strength. Slowly but surely, he managed to lift the stone to chest height. "Is it heavy?" Buddha asked. "Yes, incredibly so," the young man replied, sweat pouring down his face. "It's the heaviest thing I've ever lifted." Buddha smiled slightly. "Now, hold that stone for an hour." The young man's eyes widened in disbelief, but something in Buddha's calm demeanor compelled him to comply. As the minutes ticked by, the young man's arms began to tremble, his body drenched in sweat. After 45 minutes, he was sobbing from the strain, barely able to keep the stone aloft. At last, the hour ended. "How heavy does the stone feel now?" Buddha asked. The young man let the stone drop to the ground and collapsed to his knees. "It feels unbearably heavy. I couldn't hold it even for another moment." Buddha knelt beside the man and spoke softly. "Suffering in life is much the same. You may endure it for a moment, but when you carry it for too long, it becomes unbearable. Yet, you have the choice to put it down at any time." The method of letting go. The young man looked up, his face a mix of astonishment and hope. "But how can I let go of my suffering?" he asked. First, Buddha began, learn to meditate. Even a short daily practice of sitting quietly and focusing on your breath can calm your mind and help you see problems more objectively. The young man nodded, intrigued. Second, Buddha continued, cultivate gratitude. No matter how dire your circumstances, there is always something to be thankful for. Your family's smiles, your health, or even the air you breathe. Start small and let your gratitude grow. Buddha went on, and third, practice compassion. Be kind to yourself and others. Release the need for perfection and forgive mistakes. This will free you from the chains of attachment and suffering. Finally, Buddha said, learn to live in the present moment. Do not dwell on past regrets or worry about future uncertainties. By focusing on the here and now, you will discover life's true richness. The beginning of change. The young man was deeply moved. He bowed his head and said, I will practice your teachings and strive to let go of my suffering. I feel a new hope within me. Several months later, the young man returned to Buddha. His demeanor had transformed. He now radiated a sense of calm and peace. Buddha, your teachings have changed my life. My relationship with my wife has deepened. My children are growing with love, and I've found innovative ways to work with my neighbors to improve our crops. Even my debt is being repaid little by little. Buddha smiled warmly. It is your willingness to change that has brought about this transformation. Continue on this path. Compassion for others. The young man hesitated before asking one final question. Buddha, how can I share these teachings with others who are still suffering? Buddha replied, first, embody the lessons yourself. Let your life be a beacon of positive change. Then, when others seek help, offer your wisdom with kindness and without force. Above all, maintain a heart full of compassion, wishing for the freedom of all beings from suffering. The young man nodded solemnly and returned to his village, his steps lightened by newfound hope. May this teaching reach many, spreading light and peace to all who encounter it. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.